Hello and welcome to another episode of Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics with me, Oddworld Inhabitant, as your host. So today we're going to be covering the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company formation. This is a Guard-specific formation which can be found in the Warzone Damocles Montka supplement. And if you're going to be collecting a pure Infantry Imperial Guard army, if that's what you've decided to do, hopefully after watching these videos, but if that's what you've always decided to do, I highly recommend that you strive towards the formation because it is absolutely excellent. Now, I'll go into what the formation is in a second, but quickly, when it was first announced, this formation, it was massively poo-pooed, torn down, and torn to shreds. And I first looked at it and thought, fuck me, yeah, it's a doozy, all right. But I didn't think it was bad, and I thought, wow, absolutely fantastic. But in order to get the maximum effectiveness out of the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company, you have to go all in, which is what a lot of people weren't prepared to do or physically couldn't do. Because if you don't know what it is, this is going to shock you. You have to take the bare minimum for this formation. I think it's 180 infantry, bare minimum. And I think without adding any upgrades in, it comes to about 1,000 points, and that's just lasguns. You know, it's crazy. But if you commit to it all in, it's absolutely fantastic. And you'll see why, hopefully, in this video. So, like any formation, the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company, I'm just going to call it the Infantry Company from now on, can be taken as a standalone formation, and you'll get some benefits by taking it. However, I highly, highly don't recommend doing that because you miss out on, I would say, 3 of the most important buffs that actually make this formation work. Okay, so if you're not going to take it independently, how are you going to run it? Well, you're going to run it as part of the Cadian Battle Group, which has been dubbed by many people online the Guard Curian, sort of play on words for, you know, Decurion or whatever it was for the Necrons. Guard Curian. And how that works is you must take a command element, and then by taking one command element, you unlock the ability to take a core choice, and after that you get auxiliary choices. But the command element is quite simply called Battle Group Command. So you're going to take the Cadian Battle Group, number 1. You're going to have Battle Group Command as your command choice, and your Battle Group Command you're going to take is the Company Command Squad. Now you have a choice of Command Squad, Tank Commander, or Tank Commander, but you are going to take the Company Command Squad because you're going for a pure infantry army. There's no point having a random fucking Tank Commander in there without, you know, it's just not going to benefit you. Okay? Now, you're going to take the Company Command Squad as part of your Battle Group Command. This immediately unlocks 3 buffs, which you'll see are very, very important. First one, High Command. The Company Commander that is part of the Battle Group Command can issue up to 3 orders each turn rather than 2, and can issue them to units from this detachment that are within 24-inch range rather than 12. Holy balls. Holy balls. That is absolutely fantastic. 3, you get an extra order, and he can issue them to pretty much anywhere in your deployment zone. Think about it. It makes it so much easier to conga line your men back or to keep your men in order range. Second buff, which is just, you thought the first one was good, the second one will blow your mind. When a Battle Group Voxnet, when an officer from this detachment issues an order to a unit from this detachment, roll an additional die to the leadership test and discard the highest roll. That's right. You just got cold-blooded orders. For those who don't know what cold-blooded is, it's from Warhammer Fantasy. Lizard Men had it. Essentially, the key thing here is that it affects all officers of the detachment. And guess what? The Cadian Battle Group, that is your detachment. Not the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company, not the Battle Group Command, but both, not individually, but both combined. So your Battle Group Command, which is the guy with the 24-inch range orders, gets to roll 3d6. Your command squad that you have to take as part of the Emperor's Shield is 3d6, pick the lowest. And all the platoon commanders, every officer from, you know, your colonel in charge of the company right down to the second lieutenant, you know, the most junior officer, they all can issue these orders on 3d6 and pick the 2 lowest or discard the highest. absolutely fantastic, because as I have covered in many videos at this point, you're probably sick of me saying it, without orders, pure infantry guard, which in my opinion is the most competitive form of guard, will not function properly. You need those orders. Now the last buff is one that is actually personally, despite that this is just from taking battle group command, the last buff is sharpshooters. So models from this attachment again. So we haven't even got onto the Emperor Shield Infantry Company yet, and we've already got 3 buffs from taking one squad, the company command squad. Do you see how crazy it is? Models from this attachment can re-roll to hit rolls of 1 when firing lasguns or hotshot lasguns. Basically, you've got how I call it preferred enemy light, because you don't get to re-roll those ones. But considering you're taking a formation that requires 180 infantry, bare bones, you're going to have a hell of a lot of lasguns, which means those lasguns are going to be doing a hell of a lot of work, because this is the day and age of in the competitive day and age, this is the age of monstrous creatures. So your lasguns are going to be hitting, they're going to have to be wounded. Might as well get as many hits as possible. Okay? This also removes your reliance on psychers to a certain level, because you'll be rerolling ones with your lasguns anyway. It doesn't affect your heavy weapons, but if you can't find points to squeeze those psychers in, it's not the end of the world. Right. So those are the 3 buffs we get from just taking the battle group command, that I haven't even started talking about the actual formation itself. But you can see, and this is what a lot of people miss. They just look at the Emperor Shield Infantry Company. They don't see the battle group command. You can see straight away that this Guard Curian, this Cadian battle group, is very focused on your infantry. It's telling you, go for infantry, go for the Emperor's Shield Company, go for it. And a lot of people have sort of ignored that quite obvious guidance. You know, we're giving you better orders, we're giving you the ability to get your orders off almost guaranteed, and we're giving the ability for your lasguns to actually feel good. If you're like me, you roll a hell of a lot of lasguns. I roll so many ones. Just in general, preferred enemy is the best thing ever for me. I have run the slight tangent. I have run the the Steel Host Tank Company formation, and the fact that that thing is basically everyone preferred enemy is absolutely fantastic, because the number of times I've shot a battle cannon at a bunch of Space Marines, hit 8 of them, and got 4 ones. I can't tell you. Anyway, off topic. So you've got these 3 things that are telling you to go for infantry. So they're the 3 buffs you get from the battle group command. Let's actually go to the formation itself now. So the formation itself, it's like Inception. It's there's formations within formations. So the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company is made up of 1 company command squad and 3 Emperor's Shield Infantry platoons. Okay, so we actually don't know what the formation is yet, but we know it's made up of 3 Emperor's Shield Infantry platoons. Now the advantage you get for taking the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company here is you get a special rule. You only get 1 buff, which is Punishing Fusillade. The company commander can choose to issue first rank fire, second rank fire order to any number of units from the infantry company at the same time. This counts as issuing a single order. If he does so, make a single leadership test using the highest leadership among all the ordered units. If the test is passed, all ordered units must shoot at the same target. Wow. So what you're telling me is I can take 180 infantry models, put them all in separate squads, and issue first rank fire, second rank fire to every single one of them. Now, admittedly, it's a single order, which means you must target all of the people that you are issuing this order to at the same unit. However, that's not normally a problem. Normally, if you want to wipe something out, you're going to concentrate your fire anyway. Okay. So that's an interesting rule. But let's actually find out what is in this formation. So we've talked about advantages of taking it, but what's actually in the formation? It's made up of 3 Emperor's Shield Infantry platoons. One Emperor's Shield Infantry platoon consists of 1 platoon that must include 5 infantry squads, that's 5 10-man squads, and none of these squads may take a dedicated transport. You must also take 1 Scout Sentinel minimum. You can take 1 to 3 Sentinels in either Scout or Armoured format. 1 to 3 units, I should say. So you can take, if you wanted, 9 Sentinels. So you take 3 of those, which means you have 3 times 55, which is 165, plus the company command squad you've got to take for the Emperor Shield infantry company, so that's 170, and then you've got to take battle group command, 175. So not 180, but 175 models. Okay, plus a minimum of 3 Sentinels. But you could take 27 Sentinels if you wanted to. I don't recommend that. Right. So, but what's the advantage of taking the Emperor Shield Infantry Platoon? Because that's, again, its own formation. So you've got another set of buffs here. The first one, forward recon. Units from this formation's infantry platoon have the move through cover special rule whilst they are within 9 inches of a scout sentinel or armoured sentinel from this formation. Okay. Marching drill. The platoon commander can issue the fire and advance order to any unit from the infantry platoon, in addition to any of the orders he's issued. Fire and advance is a new order specific to the Emperor Shield infantry platoon. You make a shooting attack. It's very simple. You make a shooting attack. Even if you've moved, you count as being stationary. Hello. Suddenly you don't have to conga line your heavy weapons teams backwards. I don't generally use the order, but I have used it, I'd say, about 10 times. It's good to have it in the bank. It's better than suppressive fire. You know, it's not bad. The best time I used it was I was facing down a Wolf Star, and my opponent deployed 49 inches away from my las cannons. He didn't care, you know, he deployed as far back as he could, 49 inches away, so that he knew I wouldn't be able to shoot him with his las cannons. I had first turn, so, you know, he wanted to basically negate my shooting for turn 1, so that he could then, in his turn 1, get invis up and come and kill me. Cue me moving everything forward 6 inches and him raising an eyebrow thinking, oh, lol, now all his weapons are snap firing, and then issuing this to the entire formation. Just issued it 3 times. The look on his face was priceless, as all his dogs were basically stripped away from las guns, and I think like one of his wolf lords went down and one of his iron priests in the formation went down to my las cannons. He did not see that coming. Prescience las cannons against uninvis wolf star. They don't like it. You're still going to get past that 3+ storm shield save, but that's a video for another time. Right, so let's put this all together. So we have 3 Emperor Shield infantry platoons. If you they're made up of 55 men and a sentinel a pop. If you stay within 9 inches of that sentinel, all your guys have got moved through cover. Fantastic. You get the fire advance order. Situational, but I can testify has its uses. So you take 3 of those. So you've got 165 men at this point. Then you've got the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company command squad on top of that. So you've got 170 guys, and so far they're all having moved through cover. They can move and shoot their weapons as much as they want, and suddenly all of them are getting first rank fire, second rank fire. Fantastic. And then on top of that, because you've taken them as part of a Guard Curian, a Acadian battle group, they've all got 20. One of your senior officer squads, and remember, I always recommend you take 2 senior officer squads. One of those has got 24-inch orders, 24-inch range orders. You can issue 3 orders from that squad, so you're getting 5 senior officer orders a turn. Praise the Emperor, because senior officer orders are the real ones. You know, the platoon ones, they're okay, but senior officer orders are the bomb. Those orders are never going to fail to go off. I guarantee it. Okay, I took this formation to a tournament, and I can't tell you. Everyone poo-pooed me on Daka. Some people poo-pooed me that I knew in my local meta. I went there and tore shit up. I did the best I've ever done. It was 6 games, and I won maximum points in 4 of my games. One of my games I was tabled, which you wouldn't think was possible, but with so many guys, but I got tabled. I will admit that was a stupid mistake that I made, but again, I won't go into it. I just made a terrible mistake. One of the games I lost, but it was against Tau and Eldar allied, and he had spammed Wraith Knights and Riptides, and I didn't get tabled, and I only lost by a hair's breadth. It was such a close game. So that, you know, this thing can fucking do work. I mentioned in one of my other videos Against some of the top tier lists, you're almost guaranteed not to win. But you can give those guys a bloody nose. My opponent who was running the Taldar, his hands were shaking, he was sweating. I swear to God, he was balding already. I swear to God, chunks of hair were falling out. But on a serious note, he was genuinely fucked. He was shitted up. I put the voodoo in him. I put the fear of the Emperor into him. Right. So, we've got all these buffs. We get literally combined. We get 1, 2. You tell me any other formation or any other Decurion that gives you this many buffs. You get 1 High Command, 2 Battle Group Bottlenecks, 3 Sharpshooters. Just flick page quickly. 4 Punishing Fusillade, 5 Forward Recon, 6 Marching Drill. You get 6 buffs for effectively taking 1 formation. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Right. But how would I run this formation? What would I take? Or should I say, what did I take? Because I have a list. This is going to be the second part of this video. Okay? And it's going to be what I actually took in this formation. So, the list I took in the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company was this. Battle Group Command. 1 company command squad with las cannon, sniper rifle, regimental standard, and bolter on the officer. Okay. I then took in my Emperor's Shield Infantry Company command squad, another company command squad exactly the same. Okay. I then took 3 maximum size platoons because I had to. And in Platoon 1, I took 5 las cannons and 5 melter guns. And in Platoon 2, I took 5 missile launchers and 5 grenade launchers. Now, caveat here, it was a 1750 tournament rather than 1850. If it had been 1850, I very well would have been inclined to up this to a second las cannon melter blob. Okay, but that's not what I took, 1750. I then took, as Platoon 3, 5 autocannons, 5 grenade launchers. Each platoon command squad was armed with no upgrades apart from 1 bolter on each officer. So, 5 autocannons, 5 grenade launchers, 5 las cannons, 5 melter guns, 5 missile launchers, 5 grenade launchers, 3 platoon command squads, bolter, bolter, bolter. Okay? The Sentinels I took as bare bones, unupgraded scout Sentinels with multi-lasers. In practice games before the tournament, I had run them with heavy flamers. It had given me mixed success. I was finding that in half the games of my practice games, the Sentinels, generally, I would try and outflank with 2 of them, and they would generally die before they got to use their flamers. I also realised I was missing out on one of the biggest buffs, which is move through cover. Thanks to move through cover, for being near my scout sentinels, I found this whole formation to actually be quite bloody mobile. Okay. So I took the scout sentinels with multi-lasers, and I often would deploy 2 of them with my blobs so that everyone was able to get move through cover. And then I would often just outflank 1 and outflank that 1 into the far away as possible, but into my opponent's deployment zone for an easy line breaker point. Okay? Now some of you are going to be thinking, hang on, 1750, I'm going to add the points on, carry the 4, x equals y. Hang on, that's not, you're a few hundred points short there. Correct. This is what took some of my opponents by surprise. And when I submitted my list, they took the bloody TO by surprise. In one of the platoons, I took an additional 40 conscripts. So on top of the 175 infantry I had to take, I then took, in addition to that, another 40 guys. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, you're going to be thinking here, hang on, I don't see any advisors. This was the last part of the list. I was, like I said, it was 1750. If I had 1850, I may have rejigged things a little bit, but the only advisors I took were 4 commissars. Every single one of them had a power axe, and that was the only upgrade I gave them. 1 commissar for the conscripts, and 1 each for each platoon. Okay? So, if you've watched my other videos, you'll think, hang on, this is exactly what he was talking about in his ideal infantry army last video. Exactly. When the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company dropped, when it was released, it was like, holy shit, I've already been running this, or near as damn it, for 3-4 years. I've been running lists basically that were the Emperor's Shield Infantry Company. So what you're telling me is, if I basically take the army I already have, and a few minor tweaks, I'm getting 6 buffs. My lasguns are suddenly good. My orders are going off guaranteed. I mean, thanks to this formation, you don't need to buy a single fucking Voxcaster. I mean, it's crazy. You save so many points. Squeeze every point. The golden rule of Foot Guard, the golden rule of Imperial Guard in general. Squeeze every point. Okay? So how did I use this formation? So you know the list. 3 50-man blobs. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to repeat myself. Okay? How did I deploy this formation? The conscripts, every game, at 6 out of 6 games, were strung across my entire deployment zone. You can do a hell of a lot when you space everyone out 2 inches. Out of the whole formation, the conscripts always took the longest to deploy because it had to be that unbroken wall. You can actually get, apart from on like Vanguard Strike, you can generally get 2 ranks of conscripts. You can definitely do it on Vanguard Strike. Not Vanguard. What's it called? The lengthways deployment. You can always get 2 ranks of that. But generally you get 2 ranks stretched out all the way across and your commissar at the back. Always make sure you've got 2 or 3 guys near your commissar for lookouts and execution purposes. Anyway. So all the way across. I would then deploy my autocannon blob anywhere I wanted. And my missile launcher blob in typically, it was actually kind of interesting. I don't know if this is coincidence, but I would often deploy the autocannon blob on the left, the missile blob in the center, and the lascannon blob on the right. But that was just coincidence because it always seemed that my opponents put their big heavy hitters on my left flank. Or on their left flank, I should say, so my right flank. So my autocannon blobs could go almost where they wanted, and my missile launcher blobs, I always found was quite good having that in the center because it can deal with any targets. My lascannon blobs I always use as a counter deploy. Always deployed that no matter what I could do. I always deployed it opposite my opponent's Imperial Knight against the Stomper that I encountered at tournament. I faced a fucking Stomper, and believe you me, those things are tough. The rest of the army was uncompetitive, but that Stomper actually did fucking work. Anyway, not the most competitive choice I know. Before some tournament veterans are shaking their heads, I know Stompers aren't the most competitive choice, but hell, it's always cool seeing one at a tourney. And this one was beautifully faded. Anyway, Stompers are great. And then I deployed my platoon command squads, one on the left flank, one on the center, one on the right flank. I deployed my company command squads on high ground, one in the middle, both one center right, one center left. Sentinels, I had one center right, one center left, so that blob on my left was getting moved through cover, blob in the center was getting moved through cover, blob on the center was getting moved through cover, blob on the right was getting moved through cover. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So visualize this in your head. Conscripts across the front. 1 blob, left flank. 2 blob, middle. 3 blob, right flank. Platoon command squad, far left. Platoon command squad, far right. Platoon command squad, anywhere really, but generally in the center. In the gap between blob on the left and center, sentinel. In the gap between center blob and right, sentinel. Center blob and right blob, sentinel. In between the blob on the left and center, 1 company command squad. In between the blob and the right, center blob and the right, other company command squad. That was my set deployment nearly every single game. Now some questions have been raised in other videos and on Daka. How do I, the key to moving and deploying so many guys? I've said it, the key before is to basically know your deployment every single game. Every single game, I already knew how I was going to deploy. Standard, I had a set battle plan, and it actually worked. Because the only thing I had to think about deploying was where was my lascannon blob going. After the conscripts were deployed, after the lascannon blob was deployed, it's fucking free reign. Just get the models down as quickly as you can. I was deploying 219 guys. I would often deploy quicker than my opponents. Crazy. One of my opponents had, like, it was a fucking wolf star. He had 1 unit. Took him a while to deploy it, or everyone had to be spaced out just enough. Just like, for fuck's sake, man. Anyway, that game was over quicker than it should have been. Anyway, so that's it. That's the Emperor Shield Infantry Company. It's absolutely fantastic. It means you're running pure infantry. You know how I would run it is 220 guys. They're not going anywhere. They're passing orders. Absolutely fantastic. Genuinely, I promise you this, for all of you out there that say lasguns just aren't worth it anymore. When you take lasguns as formation, this goes sound a bit sad, but and you're getting those ones and you're re-rolling those ones with your pseudo, with sharpshooters. You can almost imagine the volley fire, the scything volleys of lasguns, because, and this is one of the best things about the Emperor Shield Infantry Company. It almost double, triple voodoos your opponent. Okay, because Voodoo 1, Fear 1, Psychological Warfare 1 is, holy shit, he's got 220 guys. Psychological Warfare 2 comes in the shooting phase. 2 and 3 come in the shooting phase, because you say, right, I'm going to issue that order to that blob, and you pick up 3 dice, and you get cold, you get your orders off every single time. After about turn 2 or 3, your opponent's going to be, I promise you that they'll say this out loud. Oh, I don't think you failed a single one of those orders. No, and I'm not going to fail a single one every single game. 6 games. Every game, 5 to 6 turns. Didn't fail a single order in that tournament. Insane. That's how good it is, the 3d6. 3d6 pick the lowest. And then, the final bit of voodoo is, you start rolling. You put Punishing Fusillade down. You get 2 blobs firing at 1 enemy unit. And you start picking up quite literally 100 plus dice. And then this is where the voodoo comes in. You ask your opponent, oh, can you help me put all these dice in my hand? And you make your opponent pick up the dice and put them in your hands. Because on the one hand, they're like, holy shit, look how many dice you've got in your hands. On the other hand, they're thinking, holy fuck, all those dice are coming my way. And then you roll them. And, you got like 31s. Roll those again. I mean, the crazy thing is getting 31s in that many shots. It's almost like a full blob's additional shooting. Think of it that way. You just got a 3 blobs worth of shooting thanks to this formation. A 3 conscript blob, but you're hitting on 4s instead. Don't forget Punishing Fusillade. Don't forget sharpshooters. This is the best thing. The reason I took the conscripts was, don't forget those conscripts are also getting to reroll those ones. It gives your conscripts basically ballistic skill 2.5. It's not quite ballistic skill 3, but it's not ballistic skill 2. It's almost ballistic skill 3. So that's the 3 voodoos that this formation puts into your opponent. So to sum this whole thing up, the Emperor Shield, if you're going pure infantry, you have no excuse not to take the Emperor Shield Infantry Company. Okay? If you're going to run this formation, go all in. Don't do any half measures. Don't start pushing out. Don't start adding in anything else. Go all into this formation. Okay? It's worth it. It's just so worth it. And in summary, this formation takes foot guard from a slow, ponderous, but functional army into a well-drilled, well-oiled machine. You will scythe down your opponent with lasgun fire. You will be bringing down their war machines with your damaging heavy weapons. Hell, they might not be hitting as much because you haven't got prescience in there. But if you want to ally in a Psychana division to this, go ahead. It's doable. Bare bones Psychana division. Primaris. It can be done. But anyway, you are shooting harder. You are more mobile thanks to fire in advance, thanks to having so many senior officers orders that you're able to use your junior officers for really mobile shit. And also you're more mobile because thanks to the Sentinels, you've got forward recon. I mean, you're doing more damage. You're more mobile. What's not to like? Well, I did say there was one huge disadvantage to this formation. And there is. Because this is a formation, and not a combined arms attachment, you're not objective secured. Now, for some people, that will instantly be a massive turn-off, and for me, it was as well. But that was until I actually used the formation. Okay. When you go to a tournament, 9 times out of 10, 5 out of 6 of the games you play, if not more, you'll be facing a formation. You will not be facing a CAD. You know, you will just not. It's so rare to face CADs these days because CADs don't give you any damage bonuses. So not being in a formation, not being OBSEC isn't a massive deal. The second thing is you've got such a wide footprint that I've said this before. When you move on to objective, you're not moving on with a squad. You're moving on with 40 men. You're moving on with 4 squads. Your opponent has to cut through 40 guys to get within 3 inches of that objective to then claim it, if they're OBSEC. In all the tournaments I've been to, I can tell you exactly one game that sticks out where OBSEC actually helped. Out of all the tournaments. And I go to quite a few every year. And out of all, the last 3 years I've been going to tournaments pretty steadily. 4 years. It's probably 4 years. Fuck. It was 3 years a year ago. So trust me. This formation is great. If you're going pure infantry, this is the formation to strive towards. I've given you my list. I hope that those of you who listen to these videos will find that useful. I can post the list in in the description or on Daka, which if you want to have a written copy of it, I can do. But once again, thank you for listening. I hope you've all enjoyed it. The Emperor Shield Infantry Company is fantastic. Give it a go. Give it a second look. Thank you.